Today, we're going to talk about something that probably feels pretty nostalgic, but also kind of unsettling. It's the story of the American Mall. And not just how it declined, but how in town after town, its collapse left this huge wound that a lot of communities, well, they still don't know how to heal. Let's get into what that really looks like.
Just picture that for a second. You can almost feel it, can't you? That's the scene that gets left behind. The glass doors might still be there, but inside, it's a totally different world. And you know what's really jarring? The silence. This huge, cavernous space that used to be the absolute buzzing center of public life is just empty. I mean, you remember it, right? The incredible energy of a Saturday afternoon, that smell of popcorn or Cinnabon wafting from the food court, just the sheer noise of it all. It was so much more than a place to buy stuff. It was where you met your friends, maybe got your first job. It's where life happened. And that world didn't just fade out, it crashed. And that's the real core of this. This isn't just a simple story about online shopping taking over. It's about what happens when the entire economic and social foundation of a town is just ripped right out from under it. So, how does a place that seemed so permanent, so central to a town's whole identity, actually die? Well, it turns out it's less of a slow, gradual fade and way more of a sudden structural collapse. To really get the scale of the collapse, you have to understand just how vital these places were. We're not talking about just another big business in town. No, in a lot of these places, the mall was the economic engine. It was paying for the schools, the roads, the fire department. It was, quite literally, the foundation.
And just like with any structure, if you pull out one of the main support beams, the whole thing gets incredibly shaky. And the trigger, almost always, is when one of those big anchor stores, that huge department store at the end of the hall, goes dark.
So when that happens, it triggers something called a co-tenancy clause. It's basically a protection built into the leases for all the smaller stores. Their contracts often say that if a huge anchor like a Sears or a Macy's leaves, then they have the right to break their own lease or at the very least get a massive cut in their rent. So one big closure doesn't just create an empty space, it legally unlocks the exit for everybody else. And this is what creates the domino effect. Once that first huge piece falls, it starts a chain reaction that can hollow out a massive mall in a shockingly short period of time. It's a cascade, not a decline.
Okay, so the building fails. But what does that failure actually look and feel like for the people in the town that get left behind? The fallout is just staggering. And believe me, it goes way beyond just an empty building. Just look at Randall Park Mall in Ohio. At its peak, it employed 5,000 people. The village it was in had a population of just 1,500. I mean, do the math. When those jobs vanished, the town's entire reason for being was suddenly in question. And the building itself, it doesn't just go away. In Milwaukee, the Northridge Mall sat empty for more than 20 years. It wasn't just an eyesore. It became a magnet for crime, a huge, constant problem for all the neighborhoods around it. So then who pays to clean up this colossal mess? Well, a lot of the time, it's the taxpayers. After years of decay and fires at the Jamestown Mall in Missouri, it took $12 million in federal funds just to tear the thing down. That is money that a local community could never come up with on its own. And the damage just radiates outward. Think about it. The Bannister Mall in Kansas City. It didn't just die by itself. All the restaurants, the strip malls, the little businesses that depended on all those people coming to the mall, they all starved and closed down too.
leaving behind this commercial ghost town that never really came back.
Now, it's really easy to hear this and think, okay, this is a Rust Belt story, right? Just another tale of industrial decline. But that is not the whole picture, not even close. Malls failed just as spectacularly in places like Phoenix, Arizona, one of the fastest growing cities in America, and in Gaithersburg, Maryland, one of the wealthiest counties. So prosperity is no guarantee.
But beyond all the jobs and the tax dollars, there's a different kind of loss, one you can't really put a number on. The mall was the unofficial town square. It was the place teenagers hung out, where seniors walked for exercise in the winter. It's where the community just gathered. And when it's gone, that space just vanishes. So when you look at all this devastation, what is the real lesson here? What's the cautionary tale for all the other communities out there that are watching their own malls start to show these exact same cracks? What this really reveals is this deep systemic weakness. Whole towns built their budgets, their economies, their identities around a single commercial structure that they thought would last forever. But when that foundation finally broke, there was no plan B. All that weight had nowhere else to go. Now, recovery is possible. We do see some of these old sites get turned into apartments or medical centers. But here's the thing. The gap between the day the mall closes and the day something new arrives isn't a few months. It's years. Sometimes it's decades. And for the people who have to live through that gap, the damage is very, very real. And let's be perfectly clear. This is not a history lesson. This is happening right now, today. All across the country, there are malls with more and more empty storefronts, with anchor stores leaving. Communities are watching this slow-motion crash happen, just hoping that somehow it'll turn itself around. It almost never does. And that brings us to the final and most critical question. For all of those communities that are right on the edge, there is still a small window, a chance to actually plan, to decide what comes next before that choice is made for them. There's a door, and it's half open. The question is anyone going to walk through it before it slams shut for good?